The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission on Tuesday re-arraigned Sirajo Muhammad Jaja and Aliyu Abubakar before Federal High Court over an alleged N1.63 billion money laundering case that has continued to draw intense public concern in Bauchi State. Let's keep the news rolling, but before then, let's ask ourselves these questions. Why do people love committing crime? Why was Sirajo Muhammad Jaja and Aliyu Abubakar re-arraigned before Federal High Court over an alleged N1.63 billion money laundering case? What's the next action to be taken by the EFCC? All these questions will be answered here. Kindly like and subscribe to this channel for more updates like this. The defendants were brought before Justice O.A. Egwotu of the Federal High Court in Abuja on an amended 5-count charge bordering on the alleged diversion and conversion of public funds belonging to the Bauchi State government. According to the anti-graft agency, the total amount involved stands at N1.63b 270 350.90. The fresh arraignment has stirred renewed debate across the state, particularly among civil servants, pensioners and residents who say the allegations come at a painful time when many communities are grappling with economic hardship, delayed payments, rising living costs and worsening pressure on public services. The two men had earlier been arraigned on April 7, 2025. At the time, Jaja was listed as the first defendant while Abubakar was named as the second. However, in the amended charge marked FHC/ABJ/CR/101/2025, dated January 5, 2026, the order was reversed, with Abubakar, who trades under the name Jasfad Resources Enterprises, now listed as the first defendant, while Jaja became the second defendant. At the opening of proceedings, Prosecution Counsel, Abba Muhammad, SAN, informed the court that the prosecution had filed a second amended charge and asked that the defendants be made to take a fresh plea. One of the counts alleged that between October 29 and December 31, 2024, the defendants, alongside one Abubakar Muhammad Hafiz who is said to be at large, unlawfully converted N1, 290, 154, 337.20 belonging to the Bauchi State government. The prosecution alleged that the money was transferred from the Bauchi State sub-treasury account domiciled in United Bank for Africa into the account of Jasfad Resources Enterprises. Another count alleged that between January 3 and March 14, 2025, an additional N426, 116, 013.70 of public funds was similarly moved through the same channel. In that count, the prosecution also named Orimonga and Muhammad Aminu Bose, both said to be at large. The prosecution told the court that the alleged transactions amounted to money laundering contrary to the provisions of the Money Laundering, Prevention and Prohibition Act, 2022. When the charges were read, both defendants pleaded not guilty. Counsel to the first and second defendants, Godi Uche, SAN, and Chris Uche, SAN, urged the court to allow their clients to continue enjoying the bail earlier granted. The prosecution did not oppose the request, and the court allowed the existing bail conditions to remain in force. In a further legal move, counsel to the first defendant challenged the competence of parts of the amended charge. He argued that counts 2, 3, 4, and 5 allegedly amounted to duplicity of action and could expose the defendants to double jeopardy. Counsel to the second defendant aligned himself with that position, while the prosecution opposed the application. Justice Egwotu declined to deliver an immediate ruling on the objection. Citing Section 395 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, 2015, the judge said the court would reserve its decision until the conclusion of trial. The case then moved into the evidentiary stage, where the prosecution called its first witness, Abimbola Williams, a compliance officer with United Bank for Africa who told the court she has spent 20 years in banking compliance and regulatory documentation. Williams testified that in February 2025, the bank received a formal request from the EFCC seeking account records and related documents concerning some of its customers. According to her, the request covered the bank statement of Jasfad Resources Enterprises and the Bauchi State sub-treasury account. She said the requested documents were printed, certified and forwarded to investigators. The witness tendered the documents through the prosecution. The court admitted them in evidence and marked them as exhibits. Although defense counsel objected to their admissibility, they indicated that the basis of their objection would be fully addressed in their written final submissions. In what became one of the most striking moments of the proceedings, Williams narrated how multiple transfers running into millions of naira were allegedly traced from the Bauchi State sub-treasury account into the Jasfad Resources account. She told the court that on October 29, 2024, there was a transfer of N13-144-500. On the same day, another transfer of N7-196-300 was allegedly made. On October 30, 2024, she said 2 additional transfers followed, one in the sum of N50 million and another of N7-321-000. According to the witness, those were only part of a wider pattern. She further disclosed that investigators identified 18 other separate transfers made on different dates within the period under review. The disclosure triggered visible reaction inside the courtroom, as members of the public and observers quietly exchanged remarks over the scale of the figures presented. For many residents of Bauchi State, the allegations have taken on a particularly regrettable dimension. Public commentators noted that the period under investigation coincided with months when many families were facing rising food prices, school-related expenses, and mounting economic pressure. They thought that such a large volume of public funds may have been diverted has deepened public anger and disappointment. The matter has also generated concern because public funds at the center of the case are ordinarily expected to support government obligations such as salary payments, healthcare services, infrastructure projects, and welfare programs. That reality has made the proceedings emotionally charged for many citizens who say the trial has become more than a courtroom dispute, but a test of public accountability. After the prosecution concluded the evidence in chief of its first witness, Justice Egwotu adjourned the case until May 12 for continuation of trial. As proceedings resume, attention will remain fixed on the Federal High Court in Abuja, where further testimony and documentary evidence are expected to determine the next phase of one of the most closely watched financial crime trials involving senior public officials from Bauchi State. Thank you for listening to this news and ensure to subscribe, like and share our news updates.